Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again. Episode 7 here of Stephanie and Stephanie Talk Tunes. Hello, Talk Tuners.
Hola, Talk Tuners! Number 7! Woo! This is so awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Lucky number 7 here.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today, including really one of our favorite topics. I might say certainly one of our favorite mutual topics musically. But you had shared kind of a fun discovery today, musical thing that we learned about that I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah, so I was on rollingstone.com and I found an article that announced that Peloton is having a music festival and it's virtual. So I'm like, okay, do you ever work out in a Peloton? See, I don't own a Peloton bike, but I use the app.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever had that experience. It's great. So,
it's a good app. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fantastic app. And, and I just think about, our love for music. And of course you have to have the right playlist when you're exercising. I know I do. I have 10 different playlists. So yeah, this is something that we definitely share. And I think any of our listeners feel the same when they're, they use music for motivation. They use music, to get out, pent up energy or whatever, or even if you're doing yoga, you want, or some type of meditation, you may want some soothing sounds. So music is such a big part of it. And I thought it was pretty cool that Peloton put together a music festival. So it's supposed to kick off on July 1st per Rolling Stone. And there's 25 different artists. It's nobody playing live. It's just a bunch of playlists. So it's interesting, guys. I don't know. We'll see how this pans out. But they actually have a Spotify playlist. And they're sharing photos. It's hashtag AF021 and AFO. It's because the music festival is called All for One.
Oh,
it's
all right.
A band.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I swear was the name. Yes, was their big hit.
It was a boy band, wasn't it? Okay, that's funny.
They had a couple. Yep.
That's funny. Okay, that tickles my soul. All right, so AFO21, hashtag AFO21 to talk about it on the socials. There's a Spotify playlist. If you have the Peloton bike or treadmill, whatever, check it out and you use the app. I know I'm going to check it out. So the artists that they'll have, it's pretty random. Carly Pierce, Demi Lovato, and Depeche Mode. Okay.
Huh. I wonder, and this being a virtual festival that's also kind of centered around fitness, it just it's like, oh, okay, this is our post-pandemic, how we're going to experience music in 12,000 different types of ways. I just feel like now the opportunists are coming out. So look what we can do. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I haven't really, I don't know, for some reason I'm not really grasping my head around it because I just want to go to a show, man. We talked about this. We're just ready to go to the show.
Go back one episode, guys, and hear about how concert starved we are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to kick it old school, but regardless, music is a big part of a workout for sure, especially when I don't want to work out. I always feel like I have to have a serious hardcore metal playlist, to have a drill sergeant behind me. And so awesome. Fair. But I wanted to bring that up because I thought it was pretty cool.
I think that is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, today, guys, we have a lot of material. Because we are talking about, if not our most favorite, it tied for number 1. I don't know. I mean, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you see Myers' office, her little studio. She's got, a fantastic picture. Aladdin Sane, Mister Bowie, David Bowie. Fantastic shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love it. Mine's in the laundry, so I can't join you in that. That's just, I can't go there. There's probably too much dog hair on it anyway. Not gonna be able to see a thing. But I do love it though because it's of David younger years and he's smoking a cigarette, so he kind of looks like James Dean esque. But yeah, Mister Bowie don't need David Bowie looks like David Bowie anyway. But he's
exactly
hot. So I am going to let Myers start because I honestly felt when I first met her that she was David Bowie's sister or a cousin because she knew so much. That is definitely something that I'm like, man, is she related to this guy? Because like she knows so much. She's like a whole library. She's a David Bowie library. And I thought that was great. And I've been a fan, but she put it on another level for me. So I'm gonna let her start this. This is good stuff.
That's pretty funny. And thank you. And I wonder if what David would have thought of thinking that I was his long lost cousin. He'd probably be like, first of all, you're not British. I don't know how it would work at all. Be like, this does not count. But we both love David Bowie so much, and we're so happy to talk about him today. We have so many. We were going through them before. We have so many Bowie-related stories that tie to our friendship.
Yes.
And so we're really excited to share them today. We have tons. For those who, I know we have listeners who have all forms of knowledge and don't necessarily know every genre we're talking about. So just as a primer, David Bowie was born David Jones in 1947. He was married to Aman for many years, love of his life, the supermodel Aman. Had just an absolute illustrious career, was very prolific, of course, as a musician, but also as an actor, both of which we'll touch on today. And he did it all. He was really a jack of all trades, and he was just so talented and amazing in all of it. And I'm, and in a way, it's been 5 years since he passed in 2016. And in a way, I'm still reeling from the suddenness of his passing, which nobody really saw coming. And that was, they said later, the people close to him said that was by design, that he didn't want people to know. He had been dealing with cancer for quite a while. He literally days after releasing a really cryptic music video, Lazarus, for his album Black Star, which the lyrics literally say, "Look up here, I'm in heaven." And he passed days after releasing that music video. And it's chilling, when you think about it too, but he was always in control of his own narrative. And I think that also came to when he decided to leave this earth. He was like, I'm not going to do exit interviews. I'm not going to talk about this forever. I'm not going to let fans weep and gnash their teeth. I am going to go on my own terms. And really, he did. But the world is a little less brighter to this day without David Bowie. And again, there's just so much that we've bonded with over the years that is Bowie related.
Yeah, absolutely. We were both living in New York when David Bowie passed. So, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about the memories. We'll get to all that good stuff later. Let's talk about the memories.
Yeah. And, so my very first Bowie memory that I connect to our friendship is you and I in the car in college, and we're listening to Suffragette City and Hang On to Yourself. And we were on a way to a party. I believe we were with your friend. And I was like, yeah, somebody loves Bowie as much as I do.
Yeah,
I also feel like Bowie would love this memory as well, by the way, because I think he once again, he wanted fans to remember all of the good things he brought us, because he brought us so many good things. So I feel like he would really enjoy that little memory, which is maybe the first one that I associate with our friendship.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I don't remember do you remember who were we with? We were with a friend of mine.
I think we were with your friend Jackie in the car. We were on on the way to a party. And I remember that's what we were blasting on the way there. It was like, yeah.
Right on. How can you not get down to Suffragette City? I mean, that's that is a party song. And no, it makes sense. It makes sense if it was Jackie, because she was a big fan too. And we bonded over that as well. So that's awesome. I love it. I love that as your first memory of us. So I remember.
Had to go back. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah, well, Bowie for me, I would say for our friendship, I just think about when I moved to New York, but, it was a big day. It was June 5th, 2004. I moved to New York with 7 bags. Yeah, 7 bags. Back in the day when you didn't have to pay that much. It was funny, guys, because yes, you had to pay for extra baggage, extra luggage, whatever, but something happened to where I didn't have to pay. Like something happened with the airline and they're like, oh, just go. It's like, I have 7 bags. You want me to pay for this? They're like, no, just get on the plane. It was like so rushed. And my parents were just like, go, go, go. And I'm like, okay, bye. Here I'm going on a plane. Who the hell travels with 7 fucking bags?
It's amazing.
Like seriously. So it was all clothes. You know me and my fashion. And I think Bowie would appreciate that too, right? So, but yeah. So guys, I'm in the air and Myers is going to see Bowie. Oh my God. Go ahead and talk about it.
The funny thing is, so I had tickets to see Bowie. It's the first and only time I got to see him. It was June 5th, 2004. The PNC Bank Arts Center in Holmdel. Side note, we talked about that venue in the Chris Cornell episode, including a weird incident I experienced there, but kind of a funny story. So go back and listen to that if you really would like to learn more about that venue. Anyway, I had tickets for Bowie that night. Pena had told me it must have been I'd had them for months. I think it was the month before. And you were like, I'm going to come on this day. It was like, oh man, like that's the night of the Bowie concert, which I knew you would have loved to have gone to. But it was like, that's where I'll be.
Yeah, I was cheated. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, because I just, girl, I moved up to New York after coming to visit you for my birthday. I mean, you were living with Gina and it was a weekend and something that I always wanted to do. But I was like, yeah, after that weekend birthday trip, I'm like, yep, I'm coming. And I don't remember why I didn't plan this better, but just makes sense because I'm in my 20s and I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to do this. And you're like, okay, cool. We just go with the flow. You're like, by the way, I won't be able to meet you at the airport.
Which I still feel bad about.
Please, no, there was no feeling bad. No, Erin was there. It was fine. So she was there to greet me. Well, not at the airport, but she greeted me at the apartment. But whatever. That was my crash course. It's like, girl, you're going to a big city. Act like a big girl. Get your 7 bags and go catch a cab.
Yeah, this was, different days. We're talking about friend Gina, we've referenced in a previous episode, and our mutual friend Erin. So Gina, Tavy, and I, our friend Tavy, went to go see the show that night in Holmdel. And it was funny because Tavy's like self-professed not a big music person, but said that seeing him that night was like pure magic, and said, I think she had said like he was the snake charmer and like we were the snakes, and which is a great apt description because he was just like it was just ethereal. He was amazing. Sorry, I don't want to sit there and talk about the show like that since you weren't able to join the show. But oh my god,
no, it doesn't matter. It's fine, dude. It's fine. I ain't gonna lie. Say I haven't gone to YouTube to see if I can find some of that performance. Ain't gonna lie, because that's still when he was looking like fucking God bless. I mean, he just had the gift of youth, right?
I know.
Lord, how old was he? I don't even want to do the math, but he was definitely well over 40 in 2004, and he just looked so good, so healthy,
amazing, yeah, and just this kind of ageless person he always has been throughout the course of his life. So it's like this incredible show. I'll always remember it. And then, years later, it wasn't intentionally his last North American tour, but it ended up being the last date on what was his last North American tour before he passed in 2016.
That's crazy.
It's nuts, and he did some shows sporadically in between then, but this was the last show on his last big tour. So I can't really believe that I ended up seeing it.
Yeah.
Getting goosebumps. I feel really fortunate, but it's also like really bittersweet. So it was amazing to see. And anyway, we came back that night from the concert, and Stephanie was there, and the adventure began, or really, in this case, the adventure continued. But it was great to come back from the concert, and you were there from your travels. So I felt like that's when, our New York venture together continued, or began from that point.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think it's kind of poetic that I flew in on David Bowie's last North American concert. So it's cool. It is. I'm not going to say I'm not salty that I wasn't able to go. Because come on, but hey, it is what it is. So I think that it's cool. We have definitely a lot of really fun memories celebrating his music together. Yeah. So one thing that, I think about that I really liked was the Bowie Ball, and I loved that. So yeah, talk about that, because you're the one who introduced it to me. That was cool.
Oh, I'd forgotten that I was the one introducing it to you. But I do remember that it was at Don Hill's, which we went and did other nights with. They did dancing. We talked about them a little bit in the previous episode. But the Bowie Ball was a yearly occurrence at Don Hill's. And it was so cool. It was technically, went back and looked at some flyers, technically celebrating Ziggy Stardust's anniversary in June. Like, that's what the Bowie Ball was set up to do. So every year, celebrate the anniversary of that. As you can imagine, it's a celebration of all things Bowie. It's so much fun. And it's with, of course, the folks who come out are the super fans. And they are there to populate the dance floor, populate the night. Super fun to do. I think the one we attended, Stephanie, I painted a lightning bolt on my face, a la Aladdin Sane, kind of like this. If you're watching YouTube, my little Aladdin Sane behind me. But it was amazing, and it was so much fun. It was such a celebration. It was such a celebration of him, of his music, really everything that he influenced, right? Because you can't look at Bowie as a musician in a silo. The fact that he influenced so many, and for that matter, took so many of these influences and made them his own and talked pretty openly about them, I think is what just makes him so unique. Klaus Nomi, David Bowie, all these folks who it's later on might not have gotten their due. He's like, I took from here, here, and here. He was very open. He took from kabuki theater. Early in his life, he had studied mime, classical miming. And that's, he talked about, he's like, that's where I get my stage presence. And if you watch something like one of my favorite movies, Ziggy Stardust D.A. Pennebaker documentary, he's very overt in that being his stage presence. So, but just as an aside about his incredible musicianship, it's very hard to underestimate the influence of him.
Yeah, definitely. That Bowie Ball is so much fun because, David Bowie goes through so many decades. He has so many different styles, so much different fashion, and seeing everyone come in. You saw folks that looked dressed like 80s Bowie, then you had 70s Bowie, and then you just had me who I was like, I'm just gonna be glam, and I was wearing everything shiny I could find in my closet with pearls, right? Of course, I'm like, oh, glitter, eyeshadow just everywhere. I just gotta do it glam. And David Bowie just wasn't glam. He hit pretty much every genre of music. I mean, one thing he didn't do was rap. He just didn't rap. Okay.
Yeah. Never saw that. Yeah.
Never did any rap, but he definitely has, he's touched a lot of different genres, and his influence is just insane. So being able to go to an event like that, and he was still alive at this time. I was hoping he would show up. I'm like, I know, right, man? This is your annual party, bro. Why aren't you showing up? But that was so much fun. Ready. That was so great to be able to do that. And, definitely one of the things too, it seemed like when we were in New York at the time living together, Bowie was everywhere. It's weird. Because this is 2004, 2005, blah, 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 right? This guy has been making music since the 70s, probably early 60s. So I'm not as, for all I know, I think he came out with something in 69, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it was the 60s. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, come on, man. This is 40 years later and he's everywhere. So it's like, oh my God, it was insane. It was, I don't even know. So that's why I think it's just kind of magical, that this is, we were able to celebrate him alive, but through all these different cool events that would go around in the city. We talk about how we went to go see him in the Prestige at movie theaters, and also seeing him in The Man Who Fell to Earth. This was like, they'd have special movie nights for him because he's a big deal. It wasn't just, I'm going to go buy a ticket and go see this movie. Nah, this was like, hey, we're doing a David Bowie night, some type of theme, and everyone came. Like, seriously, like The Man Who Fell to Earth, I don't know what year it came out, but it definitely wasn't in 2005, 2006 when we saw it, around there. And it was a full theater. And in 2006, The Prestige, that was a new movie, right? That was a current movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, people were there in like Bowie shirts representing. It was like, and he played a small role in it. It's not like he was like the main character. So, and The Prestige, Steph, tell them what it's about, because she just really had to refresh my memory on it.
I had to refresh my own memory. So Stephanie and I went to go see The Prestige in theaters in 2006, despite the fact that Bowie had actually a really small role, but we're like, we saw it for Bowie.
Tiny.
We went and saw it for Bowie, just like we went to the Museum of Moving Image and saw The Man Who Fell to Earth, but he stars in that, right? But The Prestige is Christopher Nolan movie, and it stars Christian Bale, and it's about these magicians that want to, they're competing to teleport. They're like, who's going to be the first to teleport? In a way, it's like kind of fitting for something for Bowie to insert himself into. But it's like he did all these movies, and people, of course, should always remember him as a musician. But it's like, when I think of him too, just as this well-rounded person who is in so many strata of so many forms of pop culture, you should realize like he's a very good actor. And he was cast in a lot. He was in Basquiat as well. But he was cast.
Yes.
Yeah, he was cast in so much. And really, to your point, was everywhere.
What's weird, though, talking about him and just he's such a great actor, that I was really tripped out that he wasn't in Lost Highway. Like, why was he not in David Lynch's Lost Highway? Because he was on the soundtrack, and he opened it up, and that's a killer soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
But that would have just been perfect. I'm like,
prior commitments.
I guess, just too busy. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, of all people, right? Yeah, seems like of all people, he should have had a role written for him for that one. But
in a Lynch movie? Absolutely, man. There's got to be some lost footage, because I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it. If Marilyn Manson made a cameo in Lost Highway, come on.
Bowie, right?
David Bowie.
But speaking of roles that were written for him, in fact, Labyrinth was absolutely written as a vehicle for David Bowie. I feel like most people, this became a cult favorite, even though it flopped at the time. Become a cult favorite. I would say for our generation, like, it is always in some screening of some special night in a theater. I would say that's been pretty constant, actually. I've seen it in theaters in adulthood probably 3 times. That's been because it's just always playing in adulthood. For those who may not know this, which I'd be a little surprised by, but who knows, Labyrinth is a Jim Henson movie. It is heavy in puppetry, and Bowie plays Jareth the Goblin King. And I didn't see Labyrinth as a kid, and honestly, I don't think I would have liked it as a kid. I think I would have been like, what the hell is going on?
Pretty much.
I'm glad I saw it. Like, it was 18 or above when I finally saw it. But I always I half joke. It's like, this is not a kid's movie, guys. Like, man, there's like, I don't even know where to begin, but he's wearing a codpiece for most of the movie. You're like, that feels inappropriate for this PG movie. At one point, he's telling Jennifer Connelly's character, Jennifer Connelly is 13 at the time, I want to say. And the plot centers around, like, he's chasing Jennifer Connelly's character. At one point, he says to her, love me, fear me, do as I say, and I would be your slave. And you're like, what in the flying fuck? Like, we're like, yeah, this is Jim Henson movie. Like, this is fine. We're going to leave this in. I don't know if they're script supervisors, like, for this movie. I say this as somebody who loves this movie. I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, it's not a kid's movie. And wait, hold on, let's think about the time, though. In the 80s, like, the way he looks, his hair, it's very hair metal. So it's like, of course it's inappropriate.
It's very Tina Turner.
Yeah, you're chasing after a child. Of course you are, because this is the 80s, and
like,
this is what we do.
That's just what we're doing. And you're like, why are we doing that? That feels like something we shouldn't do. But if you've never seen it, and I know, you know what, we have probably some listeners who do not know this movie. Well, I suggest you see it. And it's a special, as we say in the South, special movie that is very hard to, like, I can't imagine that they were like, we're going to bring this back and do a new version of it. Like, I can't imagine that that's one that they end up doing in that way, because it's very much of its time. And it's, I don't know what else to say about it. Having said that, man, it's a time capsule, and it is a piece of work to watch. It's a lot of fun. He sings, of course, throughout, as if there were to be any doubt about that. He's wearing, like a Tina Turner wig through the whole thing. There's nobody's explaining it. Like, that's just what's happening. Anyway, please watch Labyrinth.
And a ruffled shirt, right? Doesn't he have like a ruffled shirt? Am I making that up?
It's got like a ruffled Meatloaf-esque shirt happening through most of it. And again, like, these pants that do not belong in a kid's movie. They're way too tight.
No.
And, I mean, it's codpiece in a children's movie. And you know, like, everybody signed off on this and rated it PG. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of our listeners have seen it. If you haven't, please go see it. I could talk about Labyrinth for a full episode, so I'm actually just going to stop myself right now.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I actually think Labyrinth is showing at, Rooftop Cinema, which I know LA probably has. Several like major cities across the nation have it. Drive-in theater. I'm pretty darn sure
you're gonna go.
Oh yeah, for real, absolutely. And it's Jim Henson, y'all. So I mean, come on, this isn't like a soft porn or anything like that. We're not saying that, but it's just like not a kids movie. It's not like Skinamax or anything like that. So let's not take it up. It's just not a kids movie. It's like,
not
come
a movie
on.
for children.
Yeah, it's like, because you think Jim Henson, you think Muppets, right? So it's like, okay. But regardless, Bowie does a fantastic job. It's still cult. It's fucking David Bowie. So yeah, go watch it. It's fun. But yeah, if you just think about the time it came out and how old you were, if you're around me and Steph's age, it's like, nah, we should know. Thank God.
Oh, yeah. How did this happen? So.
No, I was trying to get down with Fraggle Rock. I wasn't trying to get down with Labyrinth, you know? I was trying to do Fraggle Rock. So
Fraggle Rock is good.
Yeah. But so talking about just events and stuff, one of the cool things that happened when we were living in New York is that Bowie gifted some of his early music videos to MoMA, which is the Museum of Modern Art in NYC, in November 2008. And at the time, I was working for the AICP. Look, I'm throwing all these acronyms out. But anyway, the AICP, and I was able to get us tickets to see Thurston Moore hosting a viewing of these videos. It was in conjunction with an exhibition called Looking at Music. And Thurston Moore, guys, is the not the lead singer, but he is the lead guitarist for Sonic Youth. And Kim Gordon, his wife, his ex-wife. It's kind of a big deal. It's kind of awesome to see Thurston Moore. Y'all, he sat next to me. Thurston Moore sat next to me throughout this Bowie video showing. What the fuck? I almost died.
I was like, the stars aligned, you know, and
it was crazy. And he's so tall too. So MoMA has like a theater, you know, we're watching the theater style, standard movie theater, not stadium seating. And here comes Mr. Thurston Moore. I'm just going to kick it right here. And I'm like, all right, Daddy Long Legs. That's cool. I'm just going to go over here and cringe and just be like, oh my God, I'm the luckiest chick tonight. I'm the luckiest chick. But yeah, it was cool because the videos they were showing, it was from This Is Bowie. So showed I'm Afraid of Americans, showed, you know, Life on Mars. My gosh, Ashes to Ashes. It was so awesome. And I know that you, Steph, and I know I do, I crank that album all the time because it's just a wonderful collection of his great hits.
It's so good. It's so good.
Damn, so good. So that was really cool that we were able to see that. And we're kind of, and like, I'm a little pissed that he wasn't there.
I know.
But, you know, Bowie's like, here's my gift. Just take my gift. Here's my music. Have it. Love it. Do as you will.
My gift
I don't have to show up.
you.
Everyone will come.
Yeah, exactly. And he knew.
Yes.
He knew they would.
And everyone came, y'all. It was sold out. Like, it was sold out. There was that one empty seat. People just come. And it was really cool. That was a really special time. Something just kind of outside of me and Steph, you know, in 2014, I got married. And for my honeymoon, my husband and I went to go see This Is David Bowie showcase at the Chicago Museum of Contemporary Art. And that's when it made its splash. And so that was really great. Jeff loves David Bowie just as much as we do. He can listen to him daily. And we went and saw basically his whole entire life, like down to his Coke spoon. Like I saw, it was in a case, his little wooden Coke spoon. I'm like, oh, this is when David Bowie was a crackhead. Okay, cool. And like,
of course, it was a
crazy. Yeah, wooden Coke spoon, great artifact. And like they would have this, you know, exhibit had his costumes. You know, gosh, and just that alone, his fashion, his shoes. So you're able to see like how larger than life this guy was because he was a very tall man. And it's just like, look at these extravagant costumes. And I know, Stephanie, you caught it in Brooklyn, right? Because it did travel.
It did ended up traveling. And it was funny because it took a while to get over to Brooklyn. We were really thrilled when it came around. And it was so cool. The exhibits with the clothes alone and even the way they staged the clothes.
Wonderful.
So cool. And in Brooklyn, there was this really neat audio component. And I could normally take or leave audio tours, like in museums. They're usually not my favorite, but this one was amazing. They had clips. They had audio of him talking. It was so cool. And the friends I went with were big Bowie fans. So, of course, we were all dorking out. And it was one of those exhibits that was hard to leave too, because they do try to kind of like usher you through it. It was like, oh, well, maybe I'm just going to stay here at the end. But it was really, really awesome. And you really felt in that exhibit that you were in his presence. You really did.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, the whole thing, it is the same exact show. It was an audio, and I'm like, all right, we're going to walk through this. He's going to talk to me. He's going to tell me how amazing he is. And I mean, down to even like they go to the 90s and they go to the 2000s. Like, guys, we were living his life, like, nuts, completely nuts. So I think it's still touring too. It might be, maybe not. It's been a minute, but yeah. Oh my gosh, so cool, so cool. Now this makes me think of. Let's go back to me and stuff because we're not done with our memories yet.
We're not done with our Bowie memories, guys.
Definitely not. So one of my favorite ones, as we've mentioned in many episodes, Stephanie loves some karaoke. And I love karaoke too. I ain't gonna lie. I like to perform. And
love it.
It's fun. It's just fun. And it was her birthday. So it was summer of probably 2008, maybe.
I think it was 2008. And I was like, I'm going to have my party where the back room has live band karaoke.
Yeah, and that was my first experience with it. So guys, if you never have, if you're just used to the video and the teleprompter, well, you definitely need to experience having a live band play behind you, because then you really feel like an artist, right? So you're doing it, like you're doing it. So Steph and I go up and sing Modern Love, okay? And Modern Love is that's actually my favorite song of his. So I love me some 80s Bowie. And it's from the Let's Dance album. Well, Myers and I we just weren't on beat for whatever reason. Maybe I didn't have enough to drink. I don't know, because I didn't have that liquid courage to be like, I'm the shit and I got this. The band started playing louder.
They did. Like we were off cadence. We're so much off tune, but we were so off cadence with the beat that they started playing much like over us. They were like, we're going to try to make this better. That's clearly what was happening.
I didn't go up on stage again after that. I was like, all right, I'm done. I've retired for the evening. Please pass me the Bud Light. I'm done. I suck. But that was so much fun, and we have a picture of us doing that song. I love it. I'll have to share it on our socials. It's so awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's something really magical about 80s Bowie for me. I mean, let's dance. I mean, who doesn't want to get their red shoes on and dance the blues, right? It's like, I love that album, and I really do love Modern Love. I used it at my wedding. So that was one of my wedding songs for the ceremony. And I love the video, because the video was like, I was at that time, I mean, it came out in 83, right? So let's be real, I was 2 years old when it came out. But later on in life, when I saw it and just seeing his evolution, it's like he went from being like the hippie glam, glam star. And then all of a sudden, he just kind of segues into this classic, clean cut, blonde, and suited up, musician who's playing the sax. And I'm just like, what is this? It's wonderful. Like, oh my God. Different persona, but it's still him, right? And there's something about 80s Bowie, like he captures the 80s. Like nobody wore shoulder pads better than David Bowie. Like,
hell no.
Holy shit. Oh my God. And that video is live footage of him performing the song in Philly in July of 83.
And right on.
Yeah. And so I found on this site that in 2018, he had actually put up the YouTube video, or whoever, on his team, whatever, put up the YouTube video of Modern Love. And at the time, it had almost 2 million views. Can you imagine what it is now? I don't even want to know. That's crazy.
Oh. That kind of says it all, though, It kind of, because that one, it stood the test of time, too, on on an album that he got some kind of, various critics had various thoughts about that album, because they were like, well, David, this is really commercial for you. But the thing about David is, as far as always being a chameleon, he knew when he had to adapt and be one step ahead of what other folks were doing. So yes, it's a dance album supposed to, his 70s, we call it the Berlin albums, the coked out albums. It's a very different. I
think about that Coke spoon, girl.
Yeah, right. They're like, we'd be like, he was overt about it, so we might as well talk about it.
It is what it is.
I'll just pause here and say that there's this amazing performance. If you want to see something kind of out of this world with him on Coke, performance of Young Americans on, I believe it was Solid Gold. And the band's trying to keep up with him. He's very fast, but his throat is scratchy. His band, his background singers, and he talked about that performance overtly. He was like, yep, that was a time in my life. But if you're looking to see kind of a point at which she was doing something else, definitely contrasted with something like Let's Dance era David Bowie, which was this smooth persona. It was like the almost the David Byrne suit without the oversized part, like just fully like, yes, I'm here. Like, I know what you want, consumers, and I'm going to give it to you. And you know what? Like, he did a great job of that. So got it on vinyl right over here. Yep, it's great.
So slick. Love it. Love it. Love it. So I just, I mean, I love the 80s just in general. Maybe if I wasn't an 80s baby, maybe I'd feel different about it. But, you know, hey, I really didn't live my life in the 80s, but I do appreciate the culture. I think it's a lot of fun. So I had to talk about that. I think, Stephanie, we need to redeem ourselves next time we see each other. We have to do Modern Love again. Yeah, because I'm not going to be drowned out. Hell no. Give me that mic. Give me that mic.
There's some great new places here in LA that are finally reopening with karaoke. Yes. I'm just going to say I've probably found twice of those in the last week, 2 of those, because I am a karaoke star.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
What do you guys want from me? But people are very excited around here.
Yeah.
With things having closed down for a long time. Anyway, as an aside, we'll definitely find that, if not a live band, if not live band karaoke, some facsimile of that.
Yeah, it's happening. It's totally happening. That's it. We got to mark the date. So, this needs to happen. So this is random. This came through my head as I'm going through our catalog of David Bowie memories. We always would say David Bowie's an alien because he's just
loving the alien, just like the song.
He's extra. Yeah, he's just extraterrestrial. Like, we don't know where he came from. He's just magical. We don't know. Remember Flight of the Conchords? They made him like an alien.
Yeah.
Like that whole skit from Flight of the Conchords. I'm like, you were in our minds. I was like, what is this? What is this? You're in our brains. We wrote that. We wrote that through many drunken conversations, or maybe not so drunken conversations, of David Bowie and how he's magical, he's an alien, and how he's just going to fly from the sky and come down and share his wonderful music and wow us and give us the gift of youth and, I don't know, make us millionaire. I don't know. I'm rambling now. But I thought about that and I was like, man, that episode with David Bowie in it. And he's in it, y'all. So it's about him. He's in it and he's hilarious.
He's so good.
Oh my God.
I mean, on every level. And he'd also like play with his persona and show up on these shows, like in addition to movies. I'm not even going to spoil it for people if you haven't seen him in his turn in extras. The Ricky Gervais show, you can YouTube it and it is hilarious. Mm-hmm. And I think if I try to explain it, it's not even going to be funny. But they have him on as himself, and he decides to create a song for Ricky Gervais' character. It all happens kind of like there in real time, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. You won't regret it. Nice. You guys go look it up right now. Talk Tuners. Or Stephanie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Talk Tuners, yeah, definitely. I haven't seen that one, so, and watch Flight of the Conchords. So Flight of the Conchords was on HBO, right? I believe back in the day it was an HBO show. So
I just saw today that there might be reuniting.
Oh, really? All right, cool. That was funny. I enjoyed it. That's so check that out. My gosh. Well, unfortunately, good things come to an end. And as we mentioned, briefly, he passed, and it still stings.
It does.
It does sting. And, both of us were in New York at the time. That day, man, 2 days after his birthday, bro. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And really, it was kind of, again, if you talk about the top of the episode, it's like him kind of deciding to move on from this planet, like on his terms, like in terms of what what we knew, what he told people, like people didn't really know. And I do remember like just waking up that day and hearing the news and being in shock, because really he didn't tell folks that he was sick. He released a music video 2 days before. And I remember everybody I know was kind of reeling that day, even on the subway, and you could tell people were kind of learning about it at their own pace.
The
and
city was mourning. Like, the city was mourning. It was crazy. It was crazy. It's like when Prince passed. I was in the city too. Girl, I was getting lunch when Prince passed. I was like, no. Guess what? Not hungry. Going to the bar and go taking a shot. I'm like, oh my God. Fuck this. It's liquid lunchtime.
In his honor.
Oh.
When he had passed, so I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and David lived with Aman on the Lower East Side, and now I'm just thinking about it actually. So he lived across from this Irish bar, and it was common knowledge that he lived there, but nobody bothered him. It was a very secure, beautiful loft. And I think there's a couple people in the bar who said, oh, on certain days, if you're in certain parts of the bar, the windows are open. Like sometimes you can catch a glimpse of him over there, which is crazy, but part of kind of what you run into over there sometimes. But yeah, it was common knowledge to be like, David Bowie's right across the street. Sometimes we see him over there. And it was a cool bar too on the Lower East Side. But yeah, when he passed, there was this just impromptu and kind of makeshift memorial that sprung up outside his Lower East Side apartment. And people, fans had gone there. They had brought just very incredible amounts of flowers and trinkets and even some artwork, artwork of him. And his music was kind of softly playing in the background on a loop. People, it was really quiet and reverent, and people were all crying. Nope, there wasn't, everybody was respectful, but it was like, this is how we're going to mourn. We're going to show up at his apartment and set these things out and mourn. I'd heard that Aman saw and was touched, as I imagined she would be, but it really was a testament to kind of the deep feeling of New Yorkers and everyone, and all fans, just for him, and as a fandom, but also really him as a person. Just such a part of the fabric of that life, such a part of the fabric of the city. But that memorial had gone on for. It was days, if not weeks, and people were really.
It was weeks, girl. It was weeks.
I think so. That particular one,
weeks.
Yeah. And I had gone a couple days after he passed because I wanted to at least see there and kind of be in community with people who were holding that space. But it was like people were like, "Yes, this is where he was, and this is where we will mark his time here on Earth." And we'll always miss him. He's one of those artists where you partly think like maybe he will be around forever, and it's such a shock system when they have to leave us.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't have the balls to go. I couldn't.
I don't blame you.
No. I'm like, no, I stay far, far away from that.
I don't blame you at all.
I could not. But I get it. Of course I get it. That's awesome though. Definitely, David Bowie, man, a spirit that's forever going to live in our hearts and pretty much everyone else on this planet who likes music. I mean, seriously, it'd be really hard for someone to say, I can't at least like snap my fingers, get some mama snaps going to a David Bowie song or something, I mean, even if like rock and roll's not your jam. He's that gifted. He's awesome. Very awesome. And, I need to go watch some David Bowie videos or something.
Yeah. Or that extras episode, but you got to do it. You got to do it.
I think it's time. Well, I think that's a good way to close this out. Thanks for listening and hearing us talk about one of our most favorite musicians, artists to ever walk the planet. Remember, you can reach us via email at stephaniestalktunes@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on our social platforms. That's at Stephanie's Talk Tunes on IG, FB, and TikTok. Of course, at Twitter, we have to cut it short to Stephanie's Talk. That's our handle. But thank you so much for all your support, and I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did.
Love you guys. Peace out. Thanks, Talk Tuners.
Bye.